Welcome to Flipping Out with your host, Paul Ezell, your leader in virtual wholesaling and investing in today's real estate market. Each week, he will be joined by some of the biggest players in the real estate space who will share their experiences, knowledge, insight, and tips for making it big in the industry. And now, here's your host, Paul Ezell.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in to this episode of Flipping Out, a virtual real estate investing podcast that will focus on the number one hottest topic of real estate investing today, virtual wholesaling. I'm your host, Paul Ezell, the undisputed pioneer of virtual wholesaling with over 10 years experience buying and selling real estate all across the U.S. I've purchased properties in 42 out of the 50 states and will continue to dive into new markets each and every year. We use cutting-edge technology mixed with some old-school ninja sales tactics to buy and sell real estate with a focus on small-town America. How would you like to have a full or part-time business that allows you to create a flexible work schedule around your busy lifestyle? Would you like to earn between $60,000 and $500,000 annually working from the comfort of your own home? If so, then virtual wholesaling may be the business for you. Contact us at reauctionacademy.com and find out how to get a jump start on building a cash flowing machine without the headaches of dealing with contractors and homeowners. With an investment starting as low as $7,000, you can be well on your way to living the virtual investing lifestyle of your choosing. Hello and welcome to another episode of Flipping Out. This is your host, Paul Ezell. With me today is my friend Jessey Kwong. Jessey's a very, very interesting investor. Here's a gentleman that's into land flipping. So this is going to be an interesting, different episode than what you're used to. Jessey's also into the information marketing side now too. And what he's created is website creation. So I'm going to let him get into that. But first, Jessey, why don't you give us a little bit of background on yourself, where you started real estate investing and where you're going with it?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Paul, for having me on the show. I got started in real estate about 2 years ago. Went to a local meetup and I started off doing some fix and flips out in Indianapolis out there, and things didn't go too smooth. I met a lady by the name of Jennifer Beatles out in the Seattle area, and she put me in touch with another gentleman by the name of Seth Williams of the RE Tipster. That's where I started learning about land flipping. And ever since then, I've gone to land flipping, was part of several groups and masterminds, and then I met some people who were getting started and were sort of struggling getting started. And I got started fairly quickly in the land space because a lot of it I had to sort of attribute to my background in digital marketing and being able to build websites. I've been building websites and landing pages and studying about conversion rates, copywriting, design for the last 7-8 years. I come from a digital marketing background as well as a visual marketing background as well. So that all kind of came into play and it worked out well for land. And I started helping some other land investors get their website started to help them get more motivated sellers, leads in the door for them. And then people started just knocking on the door. So I thought, you know what, I think we have something here that I'd like to sort of get into and start building out. And that's sort of what brought us to REI Conversion today. And we help investors launch their websites and also run a podcast as well.
Yeah, and your podcast is very interesting when I've listened to a few of the episodes there.
Yeah.
And of course, I've been on yours now.
Yeah, and I can't wait to have your episode out. And we really just focus like solely on the digital / marketing side of things, and that's where I know where my skill sets are, and that's where it got me, and that's where I want to continue to help others with.
And that's the future, I'll tell you, for people who aren't really tech savvy, right? And I'm just a low level tech savvy, to be honest with you. I'm not that high level, right? I'm still learning so much of this. I'm in the info marketing business now as well, and still learning so much, but this is the future. It's important for people out there to learn about what tools you can use to really help launch your business and expand your business and organize, make things easier for you. And so what you're doing there, I mean, it's just right that your websites look incredible. Your websites really look good.
Awesome. Yeah, you know what? I mean, the tech side of things can be quite overwhelming. I work with a lot of investors, some that are in their 70s and 80s and some as in their early 30s. And yeah, it's all over the place. And tech can be one of those things that can confuse a lot of people, especially people who want to just get started in the real estate area. They want A to Z all set up. Yeah. But really, my suggestion is it a future, but start slow and chip away one thing at a time, right?
Agree. Baby steps, totally baby steps in there. Just like, when you jump in real estate investing for the first time there, best off with baby steps and slow incremental growth rather than this rapid expansion, right? Because that always leads to trouble.
I wish you told me that when I first got started. Before we started recording this is what we were talking about, my start. And I had a very bumpy start, but I'm sure a lot of people do as well. And coming from two people who have done real estate and have been in the realm for a little while. Yeah, for sure. If you're starting out and listening, I couldn't agree more. Baby steps. Baby steps.
But it was a learning experience for you. Look, if there aren't bumps in the road, you're not learning and growing, right? So
Absolutely.
You grew from that.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. Don't get me wrong. Nobody wants to learn those lessons, but you need to in order to get to that next level, right?
Yeah, that's such a good point. And it's one that I always try to, and it's one that I want to instill in my kid. I have a 1.5-year-old, and making mistakes is nothing to feel bad about. If anything, recognize it and move from there and build off of that. If it weren't the mistakes that I made early on with real estate investing, the properties that I took on, people that I trusted too easily, those are mistakes that have led me to where I am today. So you're right. They're a great thing as well.
They do. Every bad thing can lead to very good things that come out of it.
Absolutely.
Like this pandemic, what this is doing is locking us down. When you think about it, a lot of smart people are sitting at home. I'm anticipating over the next few years, some unbelievable technology and things are going to come out of this because these people are sitting home bored, creating stuff, right, in their mind. Right now, they're just in the infancy of creating things.
Absolutely.
And for me, it's shifting my business, right? I'm sure you're doing more and shifting your business and doing different things there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could be a good thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jessey.
No. I think that's so true. I think the same way. Right now, we're all hunkered down, but there's a lot of ideas brewing. And I see it even with our users too. Like they're coming back to the website. They're really beefing up everything, trying different things on their website. So it's a silver lining, right?
It really is, because now they can learn and understand your websites inside out and be more comfortable with them. And really, look, there might be things that your website does that when you're in the day-to-day grind, right? You're doing stuff, you're busy doing stuff. You don't always get to learn all those little details, right? So if you're at home now and you're learning those details, when things come at you from that day-to-day grind, you're able to handle them better because now you're able to put them where they appropriately belong on the website, right? And be able to utilize your business and make it run a little bit better and smoother, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope anyway. Now I want to jump into land investing here.
Yeah.
What made you get into land investing? Was it just from Seth Williams? Was it from REI Tips, or is that who it was?
Yeah, that's right. So Seth and I chatted. I actually was just looking to network with other people and talk about, really, I was just excited to be in the industry. I wanted to meet other people. Previously, I had run quite a big online education system in the beauty industry with my wife. Believe it or not, there was a lot of overlap between the two, and I wanted to see if I could help out and somehow and just meet others. I just knew I needed to network. Networking has been one of the most powerful things for me. I should really be doing it more because now I'm just hunkered down here. But yeah, I learned land investing through his program and his blog. He's got a great blog, and I attribute a lot to him. And the reason why I started looking into land coming from fixing and flipping and doing a little bit of wholesaling was there was just a lot less to worry about. There was no, there was an actual physical home on there. It just seemed a lot easier to handle. And I'm always attracted to things that people aren't really, that is not really that popular. And land is one of those things. It's just not sexy. People just don't think of that as something you can flip. But yeah, it's sort of like, okay, well, and I saw a lot of overlap with the digital marketing side of things. And again, that's what got me started. So I think in about 4 weeks after his program, and this is not any sort of promotion of his program, I really mean this, but in 4 weeks, I got my first property and I flipped 2 of them, and they were just like desert land. I had no faith in it. I didn't know why anybody would ever want to buy this piece of land. I had like 3 people who wanted to go camp out on it to see how it's like. It was like literally in the middle of nowhere. It's in Bend, Oregon. Mm-hmm. And I had 2 parcels out there and like miles and miles of nothing.
Right.
And it sold so quick. And I was like, wait a minute, I think we have something here.
Yeah.
But then again, like everything, there's always ups and downs. I went through a couple months of very dry spells. I couldn't find anything for a while and steadily climbed up. So it wasn't a magic formula at all, but it definitely gave me some motivation to keep going.
Oh, no doubt about it. Like I think, and one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you on here today, land investing is definitely something I want to get into. And it's definitely something I'm going to look at here while we're locked in at home during this pandemic. Yeah. So I might reach out to Seth. And Another friend of mine, Jack Bosch, who's big into land investing as well, has been doing it for many, many years. I want to say he's been doing it since 2004, 2006, somewhere in that time frame. Yep. He's done extraordinarily well. He told me how well it is, but I never really got into him with the intricacies of what you guys do. Is a lot of what you do direct mail, or do you deal with counties and buy? Like, how do you normally acquire properties?
Yeah, so we do direct mail the old-fashioned way, and we either talk to the county for a list of property owners, and then once you get that county list, you have to scrub it and then send out those mailers. Or there are list providers like DataTree, Agent Pro 247. I used to use a system called Property Radar, which is not that popular, and it's only for certain counties. And at one point in time, I hired a full-on what we call a scraper, and he was able to tap into the county records and pull all the data and build me a system for filtering whatever I needed. So that was pretty incredible as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So once you get those mailers out, we send those mailers, and that's the key thing. I think a lot of land investors, sometimes for whatever reason, they don't pull the trigger on sending those mailers out. There's money involved with that. So what we send out is really just an offer to purchase their land and a purchase agreement in there. Mm-hmm. And we wait for that to come back in. And then, or you can drive them to your website, which is what I do. I don't put any offers out there. I'll tell them, hey, I want to buy your land for cheap in cash. Come back to my site and submit your property here. And that's where the art of conversion rate really comes in. That's how I got started. So mailers is the way to go.
Do you ever do like terms with them too, to get them under contract? Obviously, like a lease, not a lease to own, but an option to purchase type deal?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very popular. And I think Jack Bosch also teaches that as well. Yeah. And it is seller financing, whatever you want to call it, or putting on terms. We do that all the time. So most of our users are putting them on terms. So people will pay monthly until they own that land. I've done it before as well, and it works out great.
That's awesome, because you could essentially create a wrap. If you get that owner financing and then you sell to somebody with owner financing, you wrap it, you create that spread for yourself, which is phenomenal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great way to do business. Now, as far as selling, like, traditionally we sell home sellers on Craigslist, Zillow, we market that way,
Yeah.
What is the easiest way to offload these properties with land? Because it's a different animal.
Yeah, so things have shifted quite a bit. Craigslist used to be a very, very hot spot for land investors. Now, has it shifted for houses as well?
It has to an extent, and we still do really well with it. But it has. I definitely got to say it has shifted more.
Yeah, I do notice that house seems to do a lot better on Craigslist as well. So really, our main focus and lead gen location comes from Facebook Marketplace. And then also Facebook buy and sell groups, believe it or not, within specific areas. So I've done very well in those groups as well. So make sure you find the buy and sell groups and list them in there. Then the next best source is your cash buyers list. I can't emphasize this enough.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are getting started aren't willing to put in the work to get it set up. Honestly, it takes you less than a day to get this set up and automated, and what I mean is, when somebody comes to your site, you're collecting those emails. When you're communicating with somebody, you collect those emails, you bring it into your autoresponder, whether you're using something like MailChimp, MailerLite, or whatever it may be, you have that buyers list, because that thing is gold. And then we do things like deal of the week. So we'll discount properties. And I did an episode on the REI conversion, episode number 7, where I talked to a very successful land investor, Luke Harris, and he moves almost half his properties through his email list. So it's incredible. And just hearing what they're doing this month. I've cut back a lot on investing because I'm focusing now on REI conversion. I will come back to it, but it's incredible seeing what people are doing. And I'm almost kind of jealous in a way that I'm not getting in on the action right now, but some pretty cool stuff. But that buyer's list, just like with wholesalers as well, your buyer's list is so important. And that's something that we built into our themes as well, our websites, so that we went the next step is that if somebody came to your property on your website and they're looking at a specific property, we can actually uniquely identify which property that they're looking at. You can give it any unique identifier, so that when it goes into your automation system, like let's just say MailerLite, that's just an email system, you can add them to a specific list that are looking for properties only in this county, or you can run a specific automation to them. There's a lot of different things when you can finally capture exactly what they're looking at. So some pretty cool stuff that we're continuing to help with that.
That's powerful stuff, and that's stuff that people need, right? Because you can have somebody come to your website, but if you don't know what they're looking for, right? Yeah. What is the use of it there? You want to really be able to get tactical with it and really see what they're looking for and hone down on. That's tremendous technology, tremendous use of technology there.
And that's the one thing we do have a lot of cool and features that allow investors to scale. It's just for us to kind of continue to show, hey guys, this is how you can do it. This is how you can make use of a tool like this, and how you can grow your business. So that's where we're also focusing a lot of our time. And with the podcast as well, bringing on guests like you, talking about different tools. How can you apply that to your business? How can you grow it? Because honestly, during a time like this, we should be able to run our business, and we can, which is, it's awesome. I was just speaking to a land investor the other day. She's been in the land investing for, I think she said like 4 or 5 years now. And she's like, a good half of it, she was bedridden because of a chronic illness. And she finally got over it, but she's like, yeah, I was doing it all from my bed. It wasn't fun. I don't like being in bed, but I literally was investing from my bed.
It's the greatest. The conveniences of what we have now with technology. And
isn't it crazy?
It is unbelievable. And out of this pandemic, it's going to be even greater and better. And there's going to be more of an emphasis on this technology. So you right now focusing on your website and organic conversion is the smartest thing to do. It's the best use of your time right now. It's what you need to do. Grow that part of the business, because that's going to grow exponentially. From that, you could take some of the revenues, be able to invest back in real estate when you have this honed down and more, exactly the way you want it. So I think you're smart doing the way you're doing here, because look, I love being able to operate and do what I do right from my home office, right? There's nothing more convenient than that. I hate having to go out and drive. And I'll drive to my local rentals, like I was telling you right now, the couple local ones that I have. Right. But I don't want to leave the office. If I can stay here and just look and find deals online and do that, that's what I want to do. That's my bread and butter. I love it.
Just stay in your pajamas or underwear. Who knows what we're wearing under here? Just relax at home.
It's totally exactly right. Man. So let's talk a little bit about what you're working on right now and what you have going on. Talk about just how good your websites are and what they specialize in. Get into full detail on them.
Yeah. So, when I first started, I got started with Carrot at first, and then I moved over as like, listen, I can do something pretty similar using my own skill set, and I started building stuff through WordPress. So all our themes and websites are based off of WordPress. And WordPress is, probably a lot of you have heard a lot about WordPress, but not sure what it is. And WordPress has been around for a long time, but the beauty about WordPress is it's continually evolving, and it's come a long way. The technology of WordPress is pretty incredible nowadays. Both myself and my partner, we both attend WordPress events. My partner is actually very involved in the global WordPress community and running conventions and stuff like that. But anyways, so we really believe in WordPress, the flexibility that it gives you and the ease that it can provide you as well. So you really have best of both worlds. And what we build over at REI Conversion are what we call themes. Once you take this theme, you install it into WordPress. I'll make the comparison later, but it's taking a theme and putting into WordPress, and your site now can do specialized functions because of this theme. So listing your house is very easy. You just sort of fill out the fields. It'll look a specific way. We'll style it a certain way. And you can go in there and change the colors, your logos, your branding, your background. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. So again, best of both worlds, giving you that flexibility, but also having that structure there for you. Another beauty about WordPress is the fact that you have what we call plugins. So plugins are like third-party applications that you can install to your site. So most apps online nowadays have a connection to WordPress, and that's how powerful WordPress is. You can do all sorts of stuff with these plugins, from having a little chat bubble on the bottom corner of your screen to running heat map tests where like checking to see what people are actually clicking on your website. So a lot of these different companies are building these plugins or softwares or apps for WordPress users so they can use those. And we also build plugins specifically for investors. So we have things like our Zapier property listing, which we recently launched. So you can go from Podio or Airtable or whatever CRM and list your property directly from there to your website. We're always looking for ways to help investors cut time and scale and really solve problems for them, right? Where do we want to spend our time in? We know where our skill sets lie at. We don't need to be doing these tasks. So how can we save you time? Another one is like, we have a plugin, I forgot what it's called, that you can basically list your property on Craigslist, and it'll format whatever you entered into your property. It'll format it ready to go for Craigslist. With a click of a button, you can just paste it into Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. So these are the type of tools that we continue to evolve with.
Those are huge because, I mean, to me, that's really powerful. Like I'm looking at Buildium right now to manage my rentals, which seems to be a really well-designed website. and you just click on Craigslist and you just link everything right in there and you list your properties for rent, right? I mean, it's super convenient. So these plugins, and they're just getting more and more powerful and better as the day goes on here. And it sounds like you have a lot and you have the most important ones that you really need. And it's designed not just for land flippers, right? This is really designed for house flippers.
Yeah, so we got both sides. So we got the house side of things and the land side of things. We first started out in the land side of things, and then as our team grew, we moved over into land, and we're starting to work with house investors, wholesalers, and flippers now. So it's pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome. And it's pretty affordable product too, what you have out there. Is it an annual fee on this one?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we have a bunch of plans. Again, we really believe in flexibility here. So whether you're getting started, we have a personal plan, which is like $297 a year, gives you the theme. And then we have what we call our business plan, which is $497 a year. And you get access to everything, including new updates and plugins. And then we also have a plan that if you just don't like subscriptions, we have a lifetime forever plan as well. So you pay once, but you continue to receive those updates. We also have a managed plan where we can manage everything for you. So we know what it's like to grow as a business, and we want to make ourselves available to those that are starting out and those that are also like, listen, I know where I need to be. I've been in this game. I've been investing for X amount of years. Just give it to me. I don't want to keep paying type of thing.
Nah, totally understand that. Makes total sense here. Something I'm going to look at too, because we have our website right now. It's kind of a basic one. I think it is a WordPress site, but yours has so many more options here. So this is something we may look to switch over to you and convert. So, I mean, look, I've been looking at what you have there and it's tremendous. It looks really, really good. So I think for what we're going to look to do and where we're looking to grow, I think it makes a ton of sense. We may be reaching out to you, just to let you know there, Jessey.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Getting back to the land side now, you're not doing any direct mail. You're not really moving in that business too much now, right? You're really focusing on this one here. But I want our viewers to understand, average kind of a deal. Tell us what it looks like as far as purchase, whether it be terms and then resale and then time frame too.
Yeah, that's really all. Like, I can talk about my first property. I mean, when I first got started, I was super budget. I was nervous as heck because I was literally learning off the internet. I didn't know anybody else that was doing this. The community was smaller at that time. There wasn't as many Facebook groups or resources. We've got a lot more Facebook groups now. And if you're interested in joining one to learn about land, you can check out the REI conversion community for land investors. So at my first property, I shot out, I think it was like 500 mailers. Don't remember how much it cost me. They were just postcards telling you, hey, come to my website. And it was a high converting website. I knew exactly how to build an opt-in page to make sure people would submit their property if they're interested. I got a lot of response out of that. I was shocked because I didn't know anybody that was working out of this area. It was Bend, Oregon. And I got a bunch of properties come back to me or leads that came back to me. And I ended up purchasing my first property for $500 in cash.
Wow.
And then I think in a week of listing it, I did have a selling website at that point in time. I launched everything at once and I flipped it for about $5,000.
Wow. Nice return.
Yeah. And I was kind of shocked. I was really shocked. I thought that was a joke. And I was actually working on this with my cousin at that time. I was just really nervous to do so. I didn't know much. Anyways, I got another lead in the same area that was the same thing. It was just a square, no access. I don't know why somebody would want it. They wanted a little bit more. I think it was like $750. And then we also flipped that exact same size parcel. It was, I think, 10 acres or something like that, or 5 acres or something like that. It was just raw desert land with shrubs on there. It was flat. Yeah, we sold that for another $5,000. So it was quick. That was in less than a month. A month after I started, just literally starting the course. So
$10,000 out of $1,250. You can't beat that.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then we moved on to bigger properties from there. So one that I remembered, we found a piece of property about 20 acres up in a forestry area. So this property, we had access to it, but the neighbors, it had to go through the neighbors' properties and it was passing 3 neighbors. And we need a surveyor to take a look at the timber on that property because that could add value to that property as well. It was huge. The whole region was just for forestry. And then the neighbors were ganging up against us and didn't allow us to get into that property. They had no legal right to do that, but we just didn't want to get hairy at all. Listen,
understand.
We purchased a property. So we do what we call a neighbor letter. And this happens very, very often. So you will just send a letter to the neighbor. I'll be like, hey, listen, I'm going to list this for very cheap. And I'm going to sell it for cash. You're going to get an unknown neighbor who might cause a ruckus there, might take down all the forest. It's beautiful around. You've got a huge acreage on the mountainside and you've got a giant pond. Are you sure somebody wants to come by? So we have a template for this and sent it out to them and they picked it up. And I think we purchased that property for just, I think under 10 grand. We flipped it for about 30. So it was a quick one. The only thing that took really long was we finally got our surveyor in there and we were just waiting for the right season to just properly evaluate that property. And so, yeah, it was a nice flip. I've done only one seller finance. So it really depends on what area you're working out of. You've got all these cheap properties out in the desert lands, out in Arizona and whatnot. That's where a lot of land investors start out in. But when you start moving into really irregular parceled properties, the prices can fluctuate quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can pick up land for, a couple $100, flip it for 5 times the amount, 10 times the amount. So typically I'll offer about 5% of what I'm going to sell it for.
Right.
And then I'll just list it on my site and get it out to my list and then flip it that way.
That's awesome. I mean, it's just it's a whole other type of business you can get into. Less complexity than houses, right? But still has issues you got to be able to deal with. Is it landlocked? Is it irregular? Would the property perk if you needed to put septic kind of thing, right? Depending on where you are in the country. Obviously, desert, you don't have to worry about that as much. But here in the Northeast, where we have a lot more rain and issues, we have to worry about the perkability. And it could cost 30, 40, 50 grand to put a sand mount septic tank in. Right? So it's pricey, where out west people are putting them in for $5,000, $4,000, $5,000.
Right.
So
I mean, another huge thing to be careful of, and this was the sort of early mistake, was make sure you have somebody check out that property, because I was doing everything remotely. I was traveling back here from Seattle to Vancouver in Canada quite a bit. And I had a property that was being used as a dumpster. And I didn't know because on Google Maps, it looked fine. But I had somebody who was interested in buying. Drive-by is like, listen, it looked like a 747 dumped, like it crash landed here. And he showed me a video. I freaked out. So yeah, there are different things you have to deal with. So it is what it is, but it's a great model. I think you can move pretty quickly and lightly with it. It's not as capital intensive, but the rewards aren't as big as, say, flipping a house.
Right.
But
either is a risk.
Right. And you can start stacking your seller finances together, your property that are on terms, and then start making cash with that. Because like if you're doing a buy and hold, you got to manage that property. Whereas if I'm seller financing,
you don't have to manage it.
It's just bare land.
Totally. Yeah, you don't have anything to do with it. And I seller finance some of my properties, right? And it's great because you don't have to worry about
There you go. Same thing. Right.
But it's the toilets. It's great. You know, you have to worry about if they go bad, but then you're just a bank, right? So you just take it back. You do it.
Exactly.
Start all over again or sell it to somebody else, whatever, make it their problem. Yeah. So the seller financing is a great, it's a great solution I really like it because it just, it's reducing risk, right?
Yeah.
And then reducing headaches that I don't have to worry about now. And if something
sure.
goes wrong, hand it off to an attorney, let them handle the foreclosure, and then just redo it here again.
Yeah. There's one little tip with land, and if you're going to get into land, is the documentation. So we have something what we call a documentation fee. Somebody's going to come to our site to purchase a property. We want to make sure they're serious buyers. So we charge what we call a documentation fee, and we'll charge anywhere from $300 to $500. And for some reason, I don't know why, a lot of these people get cold feet after they pay the documentation fee and just don't even communicate with me or the title company. And it's like one of these payments sometimes pay off the property.
Pays for it. Yeah.
They don't have any communicate. They just ghost. And it's not just, just hasn't happened to me a couple times. It's consistent. They just get cold feet. I don't know what they're planning to do with the property. Could be in the gray area. Who knows? But I've got a lot of properties this way that it was just paid off by the documentation fee.
You gotta love that.
So it is what it is, a non-refundable documentation fee. And it holds them accountable. I know a lot of people say, well, I would return it. This is just part of the business. If you're not ready to commit to it, that'll be your loss.
I say I want to get into land. I've actually already done 2 land deals, believe it or not. There were 2 lots. One was a property I bought in Pittsburgh where the house had burned down. It was just a lot. They filled it all in.
Oh, wow.
And the other one was the same deal down in Alabama. And I was able to sell them both. I made good money. The cost was next to nothing. And sure, it was, it's liability policy, pretty much like $7 a month. So it is good. I've gotten into it. And that's just on the REO side, right? Let alone the direct mail side. So it's something like I said, I'm going to look more at getting in here. I'm hoping that listeners here are also looking to get into it. And I'm definitely going to reach out to I'll probably reach out to you with questions I have as I'm doing this.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to.
I appreciate your time, Jessey, so much. Tell us where our listeners can reach out to you if they have questions for you or are interested in buying a website here from you or going through?
First of all, I always tell people, check out the podcast, and it gives you a good understanding of what's involved to running this business virtually. It's REI conversion. I don't really push anything on there. There's tons of value, tons of actionable value in there. So check it out. And then the next one is our Facebook group, the REI conversion community for house investors or land investors. We have both. The land investors are way more active as we're starting to just grow in the house area. And then you can always check us out at reiconversion.com. We've got our blog there. And then you'll be able to check out the websites there. You can always book a free tour with me. It's literally me that sort of tours everybody. The rest of the team focuses on building out the back-end stuff. But we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up this year, and we're really, really excited, especially for the land side of things. So if you're interested in land, please come check us out.
Terrific. Like I said, Jessey, thanks again for your time here. I'm definitely looking to have you down the road here. We'll have you as a guest again.
Yeah,
we'll talk about maybe 6 months or so, see how everything's going for you.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about more strategic stuff, well, I'm
some of the new tools that come out too, right? Because
new tools,
stuff coming out. So
yeah, for sure. I'd love to come back and chat with you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time. Really appreciate you being a guest here.
Thanks, Paul. Cheers.
Thank you. Yep. Looking to get into real estate investing full or part-time, but don't want to spend the big dollars that it costs to join a new coaching program? Well, take a look at reauctionacademy.com. We now offer a monthly membership program for only $14.47 per month. That's just $14.47 per month, and we'll give you full access to everything we teach our students. If you're interested in joining this program, please reach out to us at reauctionacademy.com. That's reauctionacademy.com.
You've been listening to Flipping Out with Paul Ezell, the #1 success platform for virtual wholesalers. Visit our website, thevirtualinvestor.co, for more information about how you can leverage virtual wholesaling to take control of your time, enjoy financial freedom, and live life the way you've always wanted to. Join us again next time for another informative discussion right at your fingertips.